the show, any kind of rumbling and thunder you hear is coming from upstairs as my daughter is doing gymnastics. But with that, welcome to the wonderful world of Soup and Meatballs. He's Soup on Meatballs. Tim, how you doing today?
You know, I take issue with your opening because how do you know I'm not going to bust out a cartwheel?
Can you? I can.
Look, that wasn't the issue. If I want to, who's to say I won't?
Well, we'll see it at least, or at least your camera will go all kinds of wonky. But
I need like a GoPro.
I have one of those.
Looks
I
like you're
forget how to
doing the
use
cartwheel,
it.
bud.
Well, I can. I was out in the yard just last week with now. See, Maria does gymnastics, so she does cartwheels all the time.
Sure.
But she asked if I could do it. I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a shot because I used to be remotely agile back in the day. It as Billy Joel says, when I wore a younger man's clothes.
Sure.
But yeah, there's some stuff I can't do. Like, do you remember the butterfly stretch? You're sitting down and you have your feet together and you try to pull them in and like put your knees on the ground.
Yeah, you have to like bring your heels in and try to get your knees as close to the ground as possible.
I could get my heels all the way in, my legs all the way down, and lean forward a little bit. Like I was that flexible back in the days when I did karate and it was taekwondo back then. But
yeah, back when I was running, I could. I've never been the most flexible, but I'd say like in my early to mid 30s is like the closest I could get to like a pristine butterfly.
I could come close to a split, but yeah, those days are long gone.
I'm lucky I can tie my shoes now.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I have to bend my knee in a weird way, or like I like doing it standing up, like picking my leg up. I need a big stool though. Like I hate doing it on the car, but
I pre-tie all my sneakers so I can just slip them on.
Slide them on. That's generally what I do, unless I'm going to the gym or if I'm going for a walk because it's just bad for my ankles otherwise. And I'm not. The last time I sprained my ankle, which was only a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years ago, I was in those shoes that had like the loose waggle to it, and my ankles roll naturally, so not a good time. Not a good time.
What a chilling glimpse of our mutual physical decay.
It's a sad story. It's a sad story, but happy story if you're into the NBA. I think the NBA Finals have given us a good story, and I'm going to take this opportunity to kind of feel good about myself because last week on this show, I told you that game 2 was not going to be close in the fourth quarter, but it wasn't going to be a 40-point game. And then I told you that I felt that whoever, if Indiana was going to make this a series, they would have to win game 3. They won game 3. And then you asked me who was going to, when you win game 4, who was going to win game 4? And I said, whoever wins game 4, I think is going to win it all. So Indiana had they looked really good, but then, man, Oklahoma just turned it on like they remembered how to play. And we're down to a best of 3. So I didn't see a ton of game 4. I think it was at a concert or I was at something. I saw the fourth quarter, though. I saw the comeback. Tim, what did you think about game 4 here in Indiana?
You know, I'm still not ruling Indiana out. If Indiana can play like they did in game 3 where Halliburton was aggressive, I like when he looks for his own shot and then sets up teammates after that. If we have that Tyrese Halliburton for game 5, 6, and potentially 7, I like Indiana. I just do. But, Oklahoma City's showing that, the regular season was no fluke. They are really tough to put away. Even in game 3, when that Indiana ended up winning by 7, it was tough for until like the final like 45 seconds to feel like Indiana had it. I think this series is going 7.
Here's the thing. I heard this on the radio, and I wasn't paying attention to the NBA at the time, so I was ignorant of this. That the Pacers had a lot of injuries that they were dealing with at the beginning of the year, which affected their overall record. This team, when they're healthy, is better than I think their seed, and I think a lot of people considered going into the playoffs, like me especially, where I would say Cleveland and Boston should play a 17-game series. So you're absolutely right in saying that you can't count this team out. When you look at Oklahoma City, though, in this best of 3, they're playing 2 of them at home, and they're 36-6 at home. Granted, one of those is against Indiana here in these finals.
And Indiana seemingly plays better on the road, though, especially in this postseason. That's been their specialty, is to go into someone else's building and steal their lunch money.
In the postseason, in the regular season, I think the article I saw said they were 21-20, but that might have been earlier in the year when they were dealing with these injuries. I totally agree with you about Halliburton trying to find his own shot. As I watch these games, I'm again reminded of the era of basketball that we're in, with so many 3-point shots instead of trying to drive and draw fouls. Except when I saw, I don't know who it was for Oklahoma. Like, the guy from Indiana was basically bear hugging him the whole way, and he only got the whistle when he went up and tried to shoot. And then the guy from Indiana is like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, man, like, you're playing the game like a middle linebacker, and the referees are letting you. And I don't know if it's been going that way both sides, but it's tough to argue against shooting 35-foot shots when you're getting mauled and it's not getting called. That rhymed.
Well, and conversely, I feel like that's what SGA does so well that people complain about, is he creates so much space on his jumper, because when he drives hard to the hoop, it's hard to stay with him because he's great at initiating that contact and then going up. Even he's not trying to make the shot; he's just trying to get to the line. And so that's why you see defenders who are playing on skates who then they can't contest that jumper because he creates that natural space. Otherwise, he does get that whistle.
Back to Game 4, where the Thunder won this one by 7. Just to check. Yep.
I'm going to say SGA got to the line 10 times.
SGA hit 10 foul shots, 10 for 10. Jalen Williams, 11 for 11. Chet Holmgren, 6 for 6. That's 27 for 27. They were 89.5% from the line. Thank you, Alex Caruso, for bricking 2 of them. But, who is this guy? Is this their center? Lou Gunts Dort.
Oh, Lou Dort. Yeah, he's one of their defensive studs. He's
Lou Gunts Dort. That's a Simpsons. He's a Simpsons character. But conversely, then, for the Pacers, 75% from the line, at 25 out of 33. So 38 to 33 in terms of foul shooting. That's not a disparity. That's the referees calling it pretty even. Oklahoma, in a game that they won by 7, shot significantly better from the line, and they got there more. So that seems like they were more aggressive.
I was going to say that 14% more that you're hitting at the line, like in the playoffs, that is the gap between a 10-point win and a close game in the fourth.
Which Indiana lives in. Oklahoma, I think their average winning percentage in the regular season was like 19 or something like that. And you don't get that in the playoffs.
And I'm trying to remember, I think they only lost to the East twice this year, OKC. Because they won 68, so that means they
won a bunch.
14. They lost 14 games. I want to say they lost 12 in conference and then 2 to the East.
Is that something that you can easily check? NBA
Probably.
standings. It goes in division, so I can tell you that. In conference. They lost 13 games in conference. So
So they
lost
only lost
one.
one to the East.
I mean, to Cleveland, maybe, or
Yeah.
to Boston, or like some random, like, good day that Atlanta had or something. I don't know. But their difference, it was only 13 points. But that's still by and large more than Indiana's point differential of 2.3. So Indiana's used to these close games, and when the foul shots in the fourth quarter count, and you're not like tightening up, that kind of experience that you get over the course of the season, that's important.
And I think we saw that in game one, especially where, it's a 15-point game in the fourth quarter and Indiana wasn't sweating.
Indiana, they had playoff experience coming back down from 20.
Right.
Cleveland, New York. That's the Knicks are still reeling from that, and we're going to get to the Knicks here in a second. But real quick, when was Game 4? Game 4 feels like it was a while ago.
Friday.
Game 5 is it was actually Friday. Oh,
yeah,
just feels like a long time. But they're playing Game 5 tomorrow. They don't play on Sunday. Is any reason why? Like, just the way the schedule worked. They knew it was Father's Day up against the Masters.
I mean, the U.S. Open, they might
not
conflict with the U.S. Open. But if anything, the U.S. Open would be a great segue into basketball.
Yeah, because that's over by 9.
Right. And then, I mean, the
suck.
only thing I can think is that they didn't want to conflict with, like, Sunday Night Baseball, maybe?
Yeah, because they really care about Yankees Red Sox. It has to be Yankee Red Sox, right?
No. Yankees Red Sox are playing now.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I want to say it's Los Angeles. Dodgers might be playing tonight.
Okay. I didn't get I didn't get my alert saying that they were playing. Let's oh yeah, Boston's up 1-0. Good grief. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a second too. As earlier mentioned, who do you get in Game 5?
I like Indiana to win Game 5. I think it continues to be back and forth. I think Indiana wins this one.
I don't disagree with you, but I think the back and forth goes home. I'm going to take Oklahoma City. I think 7 works for me, but I think everybody wins their home games now from now on. But we will see. One of us will be right. One of us will be wrong. And we will know by the next show, I imagine, right? I mean, unless Game 7 is Sunday.
Yeah, Game 7's next Monday.
The way they travel and book things, I don't know. But, no, slide for this. Because I wasn't thinking about talking about this, but I said something about the Knicks. And last week we talked about their coaching search, and I brought up some names. And it seems like the Knicks sent out some feelers to those names. And
they were told, no, thank you.
The teams are like, no, you're not allowed to talk to them. And it'd be like, so for example, if Pat McAfee calls me and says, yeah, I'd like to have Tim on my show, can I interview him? And I say no, because I want him here. Like, how does that make the coach feel? You're Jason Kidd in Dallas. Maybe you want to stay in Dallas, but like, how does it make you feel that Dallas says no? We don't want you to talk to him. Does it make you feel good and fuzzy that they're holding you, or what do you think?
I think every situation's different. I think in Kidd's situation, I think, with the number 1 overall and a healthy AD and a healthy Kyrie, presumably, coming off the ACL.
I think Dallas is a good game.
I don't think it's an automatic that Kidd wants to leave Dallas to go,
Played in Dallas too, so there's.
Right, yeah.
He likes it there.
And I think it's nice for Kidd to know that there's interest for, when his contract's up in Dallas, if he wants a change of scenery. I think that's
you think he parlays that into more money from Dallas.
Right. It's good leverage for Kidd. But I think it's funny that the Knicks were like, okay, we have a guy who's seen as an elite coach. He took us to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years. We fire him. We have a plan. We want to hire. We're going to go try to find like the 5 best coaches in the league, ask their team if we can interview them. And we get a no. Every door slammed in their face. What do they do now?
What do you expect, though? That's the thing. Like, if you have.
It's a terrible plan.
if you're Miami and you have who I consider to be a good coach, I think Eric Spoelstra is a good coach, and I think he has one
He's a
more year
great
on his deal. I think he has one more year on his deal. If New York comes calling to me, unless my plan is to fire him and hire Eddie Barzoon to run my team, if I really want to just tank, why would you ever give someone permission to talk to your coach? This isn't the NFL where like they're assistants and you expect them to leave because you have a tree. Like Ben
especially
Johnson wasn't staying in Detroit for the rest of the rest of his coaching career.
especially in that particular instance that you brought up, just with the bad blood between Riley and the Knicks, like the bad taste in his mouth from when he left New York.
Well, I don't know if they called Spoelstra. I'm just saying he's one of the coaches I know who was
Right,
good.
right.
But like they got no's from Jay Wright, they got no's from Rick Pitino, they got no's from people who don't have jobs. They're like, no, we're good.
Yeah, I'm very curious what direction they go now. Like if they try to get a Mike Malone.
So then next question then, Mike Malone, who doesn't have a job right now, they call him up. How does he feel knowing that he might have been the 7th or 8th choice? Does that matter? Like, I don't care. I'm getting a coaching job.
I think again it comes down to leverage, and knowing that they were told no 7 times helps Mike Malone say, "Well, then you gotta pay me. I'm 2 years removed from a title, and who else are you gonna hire?"
On Howard,
Yeah, like the Knicks are very successfully painting themselves in a corner,
yeah.
and they're taking a lot of the goodwill of becoming the talk of the city for their playoff run, and quickly they're getting rid of that goodwill by making it seem like they don't know what they're doing now.
Maybe by the next time we do our show, the Knicks will have a coach. I don't know. I think this could drag out for a long time.
If they're interested, I am available and not under contract.
Yeah, and I would be a heck of an assistant statistician. Just saying. Yeah, I like me some New York.
So we just threw our hats in the ring.
Yeah, speaking of New York and speaking of hats, there they are. Last weekend we talked Boston, New York, and they actually played. This weekend we get to talk Boston, New York, and they are actually playing. And for some reason, the Yankees have a really good record against everybody except for Boston this year. Boston's 4-1, and currently at the end of the 4th inning on my app, Boston is winning 1-0. 1-0 from the first inning. What happened in the first?
I didn't see it. I was watching basketball.
Ref Snyder is killing us. But Gonzalez, he has a hit. He has a run, and looks like Story knocked him in. Yeah, Story knocked in Rodriguez. So we have Max Fried on the mound for New York, and Boston is countering with some guy named Bell. You know Bello?
I'm sorry, who's pitching for Boston?
Some guy named Bello.
I don't know.
Well, either way, Friday's game was something else.
The first 2 games were both a lot of fun.
Yeah. The first game was a 1-0 game for just the longest time, and Garrett Crochet is an outstanding pitcher. He just hung one to Judge that just landed 12 seconds ago. But the Yankees got themselves in extra inning games now. It's such a weird strategy with the ghost runner. Volpe tried to steal. He gets picked off, and then that kind of hacks the whole inning up, and Boone gets kicked out, arguing over a foul ball or whatever. And Boston ends up winning that one 2-1. Yesterday, I didn't see this one either, but Boston scratched out another tight win. New York tried to come back. They left a couple guys on base in the 7th, or there was a pickoff in the 7th. That was a really big thing. But up 2-0, they've won the series, and they're going for the sweep now. They're, 15 outs away. If Boston plays like this against everybody else, watch out. They're going to push for the playoffs. But what the big news, though, in Boston is what?
The big that I continue to vote for Alex Bregman for All-Star third baseman. I voted again this morning.
How many times are you up to?
Boy, I've every day I've been able to. I've voted the maximum, the 5 times a
Like
day.
5 times.
Yeah. So I've cast something like 35 votes or something, like 40 votes.
Good for you. I should get on there again and vote for Ben Rice. I thought you'd be excited about your number one guy coming up.
Oh yeah. And I sent that to you, right? The starting lineup from the day he was born.
Yeah.
May 13th of
I just
04.
remember Mark Bellhorn was the first name I saw, and those of the Soup and Meatballs fans will remember just one of the guys in sports I just dislike for like no rational reason. It just bothers me. Where
Yeah.
was that? Oh my goodness, here it is. So Johnny Damon leading off. Then you got Mark Bellhorn at third, David Ortiz DHing, Manny Ramirez, your left fielder, Jason Varitek catching, Kevin Millar, who I think has gotten a broadcasting job and left broadcasting since then. Now there's 2 names I don't know. First baseman Daubach.
Oh, Brian Daubach, yeah.
Brian Daubach, okay, hitting 267. Some second baseman named Crespo hitting 163.
Yeah, he was with. I think he played in like 40 games for Boston in 04 in like spot duty.
And I'm so dumb. I'm looking at shortstop Reese. I'm like, oh, they got Pee Wee Reese. No, is it Pokey Reese?
It's Pokey, yeah.
Okay. Yes, because Pee Wee was on the 2007 Boston Red Sox.
Right, yeah. 50 years after winning a World Series with the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Yeah, nice. But look, Boston was 20-14, tied for first back in the day.
How the mighty have fallen.
What do you know about this Anthony kid?
Well, the number one prospect in baseball across all systems. Obviously they're very high on him, and I think a team that's been kind of stagnant offensively. I think they were trying to get anything going. So why not, 21-year-old, call him up and see what he does. Against big league pitching.
When I looked him up, he had a projected 497-foot grand slam for AAA Worcester on Saturday. So, yeah. Or last Saturday. So anything that goes, let's put this in perspective. Anything that goes over 410 feet is like that's out in every park imaginable almost.
Right.
450 is like should be jaw dropping. 497, that doesn't happen. That's almost unimaginable.
That's like home run derby. Like if you hit that in a home run derby, the crowd's going crazy. Let alone against like live pitching.
Against like your dad throwing, like your Robbie Cano's dad pitching cookies in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that it was a grand slam too makes it kind of cool. I looked him up. He got his last start last Monday against Tampa. He had a walk and an RBI. Next day, he hits a 2-run double, but he hasn't picked up a hit since then. But yeah, you don't worry about it too much because, like you said, he's 21. He's just getting his feet wet. I don't know if the onus of what the number one prospect in all of baseball, like that's like Joe Mauer, Bryce Harper, that kind of pressure. And in a place like Boston, it can mount. But if like you said, Boston's offense was pretty stagnant, and they're winning right now. I mean, they're
back to 500.
I thought they took 2 or 3 out of Tampa. Like they've been on a winning streak. So winning cures a lot of stuff. They're 7-3 in their last 10 right now. So this kind of slow start, he'll get there. How's he's an infielder, correct?
He's an outfielder.
Okay, because I'm obviously I know a little bit about him just what I read. How is he okay defensively?
Everything I've heard is about consistency at the plate and power.
Okay,
So
so
it sounds like he's,
put him in left field and
pass.
hope he doesn't break himself against the wall, right?
Yeah, it sounds like a passable fielder, but I haven't heard anything. He's not like the kid in center in Oakland or in Sacramento.
That Oakland. Oh, that's painful.
Breaks my heart.
If you want your weekly or Subin Meatballs level PCOTA standings check, they still don't like Boston as much as I do. They have them at 79 wins. They have the Yankees at 95 wins, one short of the Mets at 96. The Dodgers still leading the way. Now, if you look at the standings out in the National League West, there's I think there's a three-way tie, or it feels like there's a three-way tie. At least there was. The Giants, the Padres are 3 games back. The Giants are a game back.
Yeah, I saw the Dodgers. I think they just picked up win 42 or 43 yesterday.
2. But the Giants, even after losing yesterday, they're 8-2 in their last 10. They picked up some ground. But the computer says the Dodgers are going to win this division by 12 games, which is remarkable to me. Because now we're at Father's Day. Like, you have these little marks. You have Memorial Day, Father's Day, the All-Star break, which is coming up.
Trade deadline, and then Labor Day.
The Dodgers haven't separated themselves. I mean, at this point, the Cubs and the Mets each have better records than LA. So,
yeah, and some of it, could be expectations where the over/under, before the season started, everyone's talking about, they win at least 105, right? 105 is like an all-time kind of performance. Like,
you were talking, could they possibly break Seattle's record?
Right. I think a lot of people underestimated how good the rest of the division, save Colorado, would be. And plus, I mean, they can always get hot in the second half. I mean, this could still be a team that puts up 100+ wins.
Oh, that's most definitely. But playing games in that division, it's going to be a fun stretch run come August. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, and I'm going to get a little far ahead of myself here. I don't know if you saw this, but Boston and New York are playing a classic rivalry game, having a great series with a little bit of everything for everybody, which should get people excited. But the news I saw this week was enough to kind of worry me and get me bummed out. Major League Baseball officials have discussed adding both a salary cap and a salary floor. This I can get behind. But the Major League Baseball Players Association has long been against the salary cap, and its position hasn't changed, and that's not surprising to me either. The result being a potential lockout in December of 2026 when the current CBA expires. This appears increasingly likely given the opposing nature of both sides. Major League Baseball maintains that this luxury tax and revenue sharing is working. There's no formal limit to what teams can spend on a roster, though. And Manfred came out and said he almost fully expects a lockout at the end of the CBA. Tim, can Major League Baseball survive that?
Yeah, but it's going to be tough. Like, baseball, it's hard to even call baseball, the national pastime anymore. I mean, it's clearly for decades now, it's been football in this country, and baseball more and more, we see it in attendance and we see it in TV ratings, is becoming a kind of a fringe sport.
It's always been a local thing or a regional thing. But, I mean, something like this, you have the last couple of shows we talked about, should the Pirates trade Paul Skeens? In no world should that happen. That's like, we should talk about, should the Kansas City Chiefs trade Patrick Mahomes? That's the same kind of concept. Would you ever do that? Or age-wise, should the Commanders trade Jaden Daniels?
Right.
These are stupid questions, but in Pittsburgh, where the Pittsburgh Pirates opening day payroll was just a shade over $87 million, and the New York Mets have a total payroll of 328 million. The Dodgers are pushing 400 million. There's a massive difference between what people consider the haves and the have-nots. But that's not the way it works in my head.
And I don't know if there's been a greater disparity between the haves and have-nots in my lifetime as a baseball fan. Because you look at the bad teams in baseball, and they're as bad as I can ever remember, where the White Sox were historically bad last year, and the Rockies are somehow worse this year. The Rockies are on pace to win 30 games.
No, they're not. Really? I just saw they had 13 wins.
I was just looking. Their win percentage is 186 over a 162 game season. That's 30 and 132.
Oh my gosh, that's so terrible.
They've
won 19% of their games.
Yeah, that is by far. 132 losses would, like, it would be far worse than like last year's White Sox, the 62 Mets, the Tigers team from the mid 2000s that lost 120. Like,
remember the year the Browns?
Embarrassing to put that on the field.
Remember the year the Browns and the Lions went 0-16, and people were like, Alabama could beat this team, and you're like, no, let's slow down on that.
Yeah.
Do you think whoever wins the College World Series could take a 2 out of 3 series against these Rockies?
No.
Wooden bats.
No. Wooden bats would be a great equalizer.
They're not that. The Rockies aren't that bad then. Okay.
Yeah, like these are still guys who, I mean, they're major leaguers. They're not good major leaguers. But
they're let's you know what? Hunter Goodman is out here hitting 290 with 11 home runs.
I'll say this: it's more likely in baseball than it is in football.
Yankees lost to Virginia Tech, but it was spring training one year.
And baseball's flukier than that. Like football,
you got one pitcher. One pitcher could just annihilate somebody. So,
right, yeah, like if you like the year that Strasburg was burning his way through college before ending up getting drafted number 1. Like if you had someone like a phenom like that. I think it would be more possible than like people wanted to be like, oh, would UConn last year have beaten the Wizards? No,
Wizards.
It would not have been competitive either. The Wizards win by 35.
I'm curious. I like the whole the what ifness of it, but I kind of want to see it. It'll never happen.
I would love if they made it happen. Here's the problem: whatever pro team you're talking about has nothing to gain,
nothing to win,
and all that they could do is embarrass themselves.
Speaking of embarrassing themselves, back to this business of baseball thing. The way that the revenue sharing works, I looked it up, and I wanted to get the actual numbers for the people out here, and I see teams contribute 48% of their local revenue, including their gate receipts, local TV, concessions, parking, and any sponsorship. So they all put it into 48% of whatever it is. We all put into a cup, and it's divided equally among 30 teams. Major League Baseball reported revenues of $12.1 billion. According to The Athletic, the Oakland A's received $70 million in revenue sharing. In 2023, a lot of these books are closed to us in the public, so you can't get actual numbers. But when you have $12.1 billion in revenue, that number jumps up to, I think, around $90 million. So here's the thing. The Pittsburgh Pirates, their opening day roster, $87.6 million. If you have $90 million in revenue sharing, that's just revenue sharing. That's not what you're generating.
Right.
If you're out here, like, you really need to start a GoFundMe to sign Paul Skeens long term, or go out and get him some offense, or go out and get him a bullpen. Or get him a number 2 guy.
And we've seen that small market teams can make it work. Like, look at Kansas City 10 years ago.
They're a fairly small market.
I lost you there. What'd you say?
I say San Francisco it's mid market. It's not a big city, but they had a dynasty in the early 2000s. They won what 3 World Series in 5 years.
I mean, look at St. Louis, Kansas City. Arizona's been competitive off and on. They're not a metropolis out there.
Even Tampa. So I mean, heck, the Florida Marlins did their whole win the World Series and dump everybody, but they won.
It's a model.
Pittsburgh hasn't been competitive in, I don't know,
since Jim Leland was there. Well, since like 2011, like the McCutchen MVP season. But they haven't been consistently good since like Bonds, Bonilla, and Vance were wearing triple decker hats.
I see these shirts on Facebook, and I think my favorite one it's a math problem. 6 + 4 + 3 = 2. And I'm like, that's a cool shirt. Yeah. I was a center fielder though, so the hell I don't need that noise. But I've seen a shirt that said Sid Bream ruined my childhood. That's the kind of shirt you wear to a ball game, and like you sit there and you're like, I'm gonna get people to talk to me just because of what I'm wearing. I dig that. But yeah, it's how long ago since Sid Bream ruined someone's childhood? It's been a long time.
What was that? 92? I want to say.
I thought that was 91.
I think it was 92. Francisco Cabrera drove in Sid Bream in Game 7.
Those years, my 6th grade at Heights Terrace and 7th grade in Greeby, they all. I know when they happened. I just don't know the years. But yeah, if there's a lockout, I will be very. The only thing that is remotely we'll deal is the lockout would be in December. So
right, it would give them hopefully time to haggle.
And I remember I'm reminiscing in my head right now when the NFL had their like mini lockout. You remember that? And we were. This was pre-Soup and Meatballs. Otherwise, we definitely would have talked ad nauseum about this. But I put on Facebook. I'm like, everybody knew this thing was going to get decided. They weren't going to skip the season. I don't know what you people were worried about. And Capper commented, he's like, it's about time. The Steelers are about to kick the Ravens' asses now. And I'm like, dude, it's July. Calm down. Pittsburgh's not doing anything to Baltimore. The Ravens can't hurt you. And he's like, we're going to get them. Like, you don't play them until November. Slow down.
And whenever you think of a work stoppage, if it would affect the season, the thing that you really think about is how it's going to, rob you of seeing like the prime of, someone like an Ohtani or a Judge, if they lose like a quarter of a season, it's like, that's, that's putting it in career numbers, single season, record chases and things like that.
Imagine this. If something were to happen, I don't know, this year, Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh both have 26 home runs. Is there a reasonable chance that they're both going to hit 50? Yeah. Is there an outside shot? One of them might hit 60. Maybe. Are they going to get 73? Are they going to get 73? No. But what if?
It's harder to say with a catcher just because you don't know how the season takes a toll.
I'm just giving I'm giving the guy his due because he had 26 home runs last week too, and Judge has caught up to him. But if you have like a record like that, because people get into home runs, they just do, and that got taken away, that would be catastrophic beyond repair. Because I think to a point, the McGuire-Sosa home run chase brought interest back. They didn't win anything. I mean, the Yankees won the World Series with a guy hitting 25 home runs, but people started watching baseball because of that.
Well, that's
we
why
need to bring steroids back.
That's why people were so frustrated with the 94 strike is that you had 3 guys who were chasing Maris and Matt Williams, Ken Griffey, and Frank Thomas. You had Tony Gwynn who was chasing 400. And then you had two teams that hadn't contended in a while, in the Expos and the Yankees, who were in exciting, pennant races. So you were robbed on like 4 different fronts.
If it goes down, I guess maybe it's lucky it's in December, but I don't have the same. That's really close to spring training. I wouldn't have the same confidence that I had in the NFL a couple of years ago. Like the NFL was like, calm down, it's going to happen. With baseball, I don't know. Well, it'll be one of those we'll sees.
And this is one of the big sticking points for the players' union. Historically, it had been drug testing and this. They gave on the drug testing, and this is really going to test, the bargaining positioning of the players' union.
Yes, that it all boils down to money is always the bigger deal. If you look at some of the contracts though in the NBA and the NFL, the way they're structured, I wonder what happens to the whole deferred contract situation, because that's where all of LA's money is tied up in a couple guys.
Right. Well, look at the Ohtani deal. That was like the first one where people were like, "How's this legal?"
It was so grotesquely back-ended. There'd been deferred contracts in New York. New York had one. I think Boston still might be paying Manny Ramirez
it's like
a couple million a year.
It's like the Columbia House way of doing business, where it's like, we'll pay you a penny this year, and then we'll give you $1 million for the next 40 years.
Let's pull out the old compact disc collection. Thank you. The Star Wars, these might have come from Columbia House. Monster Ballads that didn't. Ooh, this is the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Letters from the Labyrinth. That's definitely not Columbia House because it's new. But I like the comparison that you made there. That works. We brought up the football lockout, and not that that's not enough. I'm getting the thing from my producer. If we don't talk football, we're going to get fined. The unfortunate thing is there's no really big news right now out of the NFL. So I thought, leading up to training camps, we could talk a little bit about one position, come up with like a little ranking, and I figured it would start really easy because I think with quarterback, I don't think there's a lot of argument at the top, but I'm going to make arguments. So I asked you to come up with like a top 3 because it's not our top 5 just yet. And this one's kind of hard. I think you can make an argument for like 6, but I think the top 3. I think we're gonna have the same ones.
I do too.
Yeah. So, 3, 2, 1. Who do you got? If confidence, like you want quarterbacking your team.
3, I still go Mahomes. I know the last sight we had of him was the Super Bowl, where he's probably still getting up off the ground, but he helped drag that team through the AFC, so he's got to be in the top 3. And then if you're talking top 2, you can argue the order, but I have Lamar 2 and Josh Allen 1. But if you say Lamar number 1, I'm not going to fight that. I
have Lamar 1, so it's glad you're not going to fight it, and it's really just because what a weapon he is. I mean. When you're 6th in passing and you throw in 915 rushing yards, Josh Allen is surprisingly like mobile because he's a big dude.
Yeah, he's like 6'5", 235, something like that.
He doesn't look athletic. But surprisingly, Josh Allen didn't even make my top 3. So, I mean, there's that. I know you're a big Allen fan. Mahomes was number 3 for me. I can't get past. I'm not going to give them 15 wins, I promise you. But you give the guy Jamar Chase, you give the guy T. Higgins. I think Mike Gesicki has a good year for him. I'm going to take Joe Burrow at number 2 if he's healthy, and that's the health thing with him. And like he can get twanged in the ear and be out for 2 games.
Right, and that's like you say. The caveat is, can he stay healthy? But also, when he is healthy, he's done something Josh Allen hasn't, which is go to a Super Bowl.
And if Hendrickson and the defense, that's something he can't control. So if I want a quarterback to lead my team, Lamar's number 1. I would take Burrow too. I wouldn't feel bad with Josh Allen. I'd probably put Josh Allen 4 if I had to think about it. So I guess this is the easy one. I don't think there's a ton of argument that could go on. If we look
I have Burrow 4, but I also feel like if you were to plug Josh Allen into Cincinnati and Burrow into Buffalo, I think Allen would be more likely to succeed in Cincinnati than Burrow would to succeed in Buffalo, if that makes sense.
I don't disagree with that. And I wonder if that's a product of where they came from. Wyoming, A, the weather, B, how much talent you have around you versus LSU and all the talent he had around him. Oh my gosh, that LSU team.
Maybe the greatest college football team of my lifetime.
It's the 2001 Hurricanes are really good too. But
right, I was going to say like them, like the 04, 05 USC, those 90s Nebraska teams. But they're probably the 4 best of my lifetime.
So like Josh Allen is used to picking people up in the weather, whereas Burrow is kind of like the cocky guy. Like, dude, I have all the guns and I'm going to just destroy you. But he has the ability to use them. And I noticed neither one of us said Jalen Hurts or Caleb Williams. So let's, I think Caleb Williams is worthy of at least. I was looking at the rankings of these guys. But I think this was for fantasy sports. And the guy wrote he has Caleb Williams ranked 27th.
Oh.
Behind J.J. McCarthy.
Oh.
And he said Caleb Williams had a terrible year. And I just think to myself, in what world is 3,500 yards and 20 touchdowns for a rookie a bad year? I know I say this a lot, but like, holy cow.
Caleb Williams, his rookie year reminds me a lot, and I'm not making a comparison beyond this, but it reminds me a lot of Peyton Manning's rookie year, where he led the league. I think he threw like 28 interceptions. Now, I'm not saying Caleb Williams is going to be Peyton Manning, but I'm saying while he was taking his lumps and learning, he was doing some good things.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing him with a coach like Ben Johnson. Now, if he declines this year, then there's a discussion to be had about, okay, well, maybe we should have drafted Jaden Daniels or whatever. I don't know.
Right. I mean, what you typically like to see with a quarterback who's taken number 1 overall is, some flashes in that rookie year. You want to see not even statistical improvement, but just recognition. And then the third year is the year where you like to see that leap, where suddenly it's like, all right, now you're playing in the divisional round of the playoffs, like you're contending for like your division title, like that kind of leap. So I think we just want to see some kind of flicker.
I think with the offense now around him, with a revamped and rebuilt offensive line, a consistent running game, and he still has weapons,
like you said, Ben Johnson.
That is his creativity. Yeah, I don't know if the fans will allow for a third-year jump. They want the second-year jump.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you think Caleb Williams throws for 4,000 yards? Do we get a Chicago Pope and a Bears 4,000-yard passer?
Not in the same year. I think it's going to be in January that he gets to 4,000. But I would imagine. I mean, he was close last year, so sure. But here's the thing: with 17 games, it's less impressive. And then eventually, when we go to 18 games, it's going to be like, well, now the threshold is going to be 5,000.
Yeah, and it's funny because throwing for 4,000 now really isn't like that big a deal anymore.
Yeah, it's like hitting 25 home runs. Like, oh, okay.
It's a nice season.
It's a cute little season over there in Chicago. Yeah.
If you threw 4,000 yards, you were like a lock for the Pro Bowl.
Or like the All-Pro team, All NFL.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because there are other, like the Jets haven't had a 4,000-yard passer since Namath.
Oh, Vinny didn't do it?
Vinny didn't. He did it in Baltimore.
Okay.
But he never did it with the Jets.
Alas. This is, again, back when running was a big thing, and running is coming back. We'll talk about running backs next week. I imagine there's going to be some overlap there as well. But that's quite enough NFL talk for the week. So
have we met our threshold? What is the fine? How much is the fine?
I don't know. We haven't been fined yet.
Oh,
so that's the point.
Fair enough.
All right, here we go. Quick hitters time. Starting off local and timely for right now. The U.S. Open is out being played in Oakmont, which is in Pittsburgh. I was just out there this past week with the kids in Kennywood, and their cousins told me a story about how golfers pay big bucks to homeowners to basically move into their house. The owners move out. So it's like a makeshift
like
Airbnb.
Yeah.
So the question to you is, what would it take for you to allow John Daly to live in your house unattended for 4 to 5 days?
I have to have him sign paperwork that says there will be cameras in the house, and I can do whatever I want with the footage.
He's going to pay for damages too?
Oh, that's a given. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but if he's like, crushing like a Coors Light and smoking heaters, like in the bathtub, like I want footage of that. And I want to sell it to the highest bidder.
I just heard you want footage of John Daly in the bathtub. So,
I'll repeat it.
How much are you charging him?
I'd have to think about that. I'd have to see what the going rates are.
The going rate is about $25,000 for the 4 days.
I would take $25,000 and the rights to any footage,
and just leave my board games alone. Just use the oven, turn it off. I highly doubt Jen would go for that, like a stranger in the house, because like she'd be totally worried. Like, did they turn the water on? Is it still running? Is something plugged in? Is there going to be a fire? And I could understand. Like, I have a hard time trusting that I didn't do this. So, but that's what the going rate is. So there we go.
I think that's fair, and I would be worried that John Daly would in fact burn my house down.
I think that would be a good. You might have to like cover your hedge your bets and like bet on that. You get like 200 to 1 odds from the Bellagio. Will John Daly burn Tim's house down over the U.S. Open? 500 on you.
Come on, Orson.
All right, so the top 60 players and ties made the cut for Oakmont, and that came in at +7 this year. The cut line for the Masters this year was +2. So Oakmont is no joke. I saw a video, and I don't know if you saw this or not, but in the rough area, the rough at Oakmont was 6 inches. So when the kid dropped the ball just straight up and vanished.
Yeah.
Is that good for golf? I mean, obviously the goal is to hit it straight anyway. But is that good?
I think, and I say this as someone who doesn't watch a lot of golf, but I think that's part of the charm of the majors is that, other than the Masters, you do have like rotating courses that have, their different challenges. So I think that's part of the fun.
Golf to me in that respect is kind of like baseball, where like it was in football. Football is the same thing. The only thing you're dealing with is the weather, which is fine. But baseball, we have the big monster, green monster. We have the short porch. You have the fountains. You have whatever Miami has in center field. That weird thing. Yeah, I'm with you. I think the British Open is famous for like just an awful course.
Yeah,
but largely because it's the weather involved too. Am I right?
British,
I don't watch golf either.
Yeah, the British, it's usually you're dealing with the wind and the rain, and then it depends if you're at like, St. Andrews or Carnoustie or wherever, but it's almost always the weather's an added factor.
The cut line is like +13, but ugh. All right, here we go. Number 3, the Stanley Cup Finals. Let's talk hockey. Stanley Cup Finals just had their Game 5. Florida leads the series 3-2 over the Oilers. Now we have 3 one-goal games, a lot of scoring. If you're a hockey fan, you really have to enjoy this, right?
Yeah, I've been watching off and on. Game 4,
Have you?
I gave up on Game 4 when Florida went up 3-0 in the first period, and I was like, oh well, okay. And then for Edmonton to come back and win it in overtime, kind of kicking myself that I gave up on it. I'd like to see Edmonton win. I'd like to see a Canadian team. They haven't won the Cup since '93, a Canadian team. So it's been a fun series, and I'd like to see Edmonton win the last two and take it.
Okay, I'm of the volition that if the Rangers aren't there, I don't care, and if the Rangers are there, I still don't care. But it's cool because they're New York.
Fair enough.
That's the way I look at hockey. All right, here we go. Remember last week, we tried to find the Macho Machine, and the wonderful lady's name was Keontae Wilson. I only know that because I've written down. We called to try to get this Macho Machine because that's important to us, to bring out the macho in us. So she gave us another number. You ready to give them a call?
I've been ready since last week.
That was our cliffhanger. So here we go. 1-800 Druidia. It's ringing.
This is Emma. Promotions. I can help you with your call.
Hello.
All right. What company were you calling?
I was calling for the availability of the
I'm
WWF.
not finding a. Do you have a pen handy so you can write down a number?
No.
You can try calling 1-800-26600 for more information. Let me give you that number again. The number is 1-800-712-6600.
All right. Well, I'm just 1-800 Druidia. 1-800-712-6600. She said. I hate robots. We got to talk to somebody here.
Hi, this is Emma. Thank you for listening to our special promotions. I can help you with your call. Please tell me why you are calling today.
I want to buy the WWF Macho Machine.
All right. What company were you calling?
The World Wrestling Federation.
I'm not finding a match for your request. Do you have a pen handy so you can write down a number?
No, I don't.
You can try calling 1-800-712-6600 for more information.
That is I just called that number.
Let me give you that number again. The number is 1-800-712-6600.
Keontae sent us on a wild goose chase. Oh, that's a bummer.
We can't blame her.
She was great. You know what? I actually went back and I listened to the audio, and yeah, she was glorifyingly like she had no idea what we were talking about. Which I mean, obviously that's the gag, but I would have just liked to talk to somebody else about this and see where they sent us.
I wonder if the number she gave us is just like a number they're told to give out.
Could be. Either way, I mean, it's a cool ad. Look at Macho Man, the Ico Pro, straight up 90s. Oh well, let's get back at it.
Well, now what are we going to do at the beach?
We're going to get bullied is what's going to happen.
Oh,
so
not again.
Oh. All right, here we go. Number 4, the Indiana-Pennsylvania high school baseball team has won the state baseball tournament, but along the way they played in what's considered to be now the longest game in state playoff history, defeating the East Pennsboro Panthers 6-5 as Caden Force draws a bases-loaded walk in the bottom of the 17th inning.
Wow.
They basically went Ernie Banks in the state semifinals over here. East Pennsboro finishing the year at 23-1. And then they still had enough juice left in the tank to knock off your local squad, Montoursville, 5-4. But if you check the final scores for Indiana in states, opening round, a 1-0 win over Bellefonte. Round 2, they cruise 8-0 over Central Valley. But Central Valley was the team that knocked out the number 1 seed out of District 10, Cathedral Prep. So that's a big win. Round 3 was that 17-inning affair, and the state final was 5-4. So 3 games that are single-run games for Indiana. Pretty cool for them. There's no questions. I just wanted to say, hey, that's pretty cool.
And I'll take that as a chance to give a shout out. Mount Carmel High School in my neck of the woods went to the state final. Lost. They were tied in the 6th. They lost 4-2, but a great season, Mount Carmel.
There you go. Good deal. Last quick hitter for you. I saw this and I thought this is insane. So you might have to look at it. The Galactus popcorn bucket for the movie The Fantastic Four First Steps. This costs $79.95. I think it's the most expensive popcorn bucket ever. Tim, would you buy this for $80?
No, but it's tempting. I think is it wearable? Like it should be wearable like a beer helmet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Could you imagine going like you have your ticket for Fantastic Four, you sit down and some jabroni in front of you is wearing this and just like eating popcorn out of it.
I can't see the movie. If I can't see the movie, he's getting hit with something.
I mean, look, it's admittedly, super cool popcorn bucket, but
listen, if you're into this, like I know Roseanne's into that whole MCU universe. I don't know if this kind of fits that mold or if they're blending things. Yeah, that's a neat geeky thing. Like I have enough Darth Vader helmets around my classroom and around. Like I like Darth Vader, and so does Derek. So that's fine. I've showed you the Darth Maul in-box toy that I have. I mean, I'm as geeky as they come. Forget about it. But that Darth Maul, I think, cost me like $4 on eBay. I'm not paying $80 for something that it's going to get buttery and gross. And I don't know the process to clean it, if it's going to get ruined.
I'm content. Look, I'm so excited to see Fantastic Four. I'll be there opening night, but I'll probably just get a standard popcorn and then my usual icy that will be 75% cola, 25% cherry.
Oh, there you go. That works.
That's the winning formula for anyone who wants to have the best icy experience.
Say that again, so get your pens out.
Call this number,
1-800-712-6600.
Yes.
So what's your formula?
75% cola, 25% cherry.
Okay, that works. If the ice, you have access to your own icy machine, then I guess.
Well, at the theater.
I'm trying to think. The theater, the last one I went to, I took Maria to see Lilo and Stitch. I think it was like here, they just give it to you.
Oh yeah, now
it was just straight up soda. There was no icy option because it was one of those touch screens that I had to like I want this, and it wasn't.
Look, I don't want to brag, but I am an AMC Rewards member.
Ooh, there you go.
Bit of a high roller over here, Sinatra up here.
I forget what it's been. I've been on the road a lot, so like a lot of these days are kind of like blending together. Jen went to see Sweeney Todd, which was put on by the Salt. It's like something local theater group or something out in Downingtown with her. Like her sister was part of the crew that put it together, and I was gonna take Maria to a movie, but I looked and like there's nothing that was really for Maria, and then I looked and like, well, I could go see Dogma. All right, I bought tickets to see Dogma. The problem was the tickets were for a theater in Ohio. Not close to Downingtown, which is close to Philadelphia. So we had to get a refund for that. And I ended up sitting in the parking lot for her show. I sat in the parking lot for 2 hours watching 2 episodes of White Collar. So it was okay. But the one other kind of cool movie thing coming up, my son sent me the trailer as if I didn't see it, but good on him. Spaceballs 2. Did you see this?
Yes, I'm excited, and the world is a better place with Mel Brooks kicking around and making corny jokes.
Two drop balls, I think. One, if they call it the Schwartz Awakens, that's strike one. I saw a video of this on TikTok today that I hadn't thought of. That would have been the ultimate kind of like Spaceballs gag. What you have to do is you don't drop the trailer. Don't tell anybody it's in the works. Get all the guys in. Rick Moranis is still retired. Oh, but he's coming in just to talk or something. He's really filming, and we get this whole movie done. And then you announce, okay, we're going to get a movie in 2027. But the day that it opens in theaters, you can also buy the VHS tape. Instant cassettes. They're out in stores before the movie is finished. And I thought, that would be so cheesy. And the amount of money it would take to mass produce enough VHS tapes for it to really hit,
right?
That would be worth it. It would have to be worth it. But no, I'm pumped. Spaceballs is one of my favorite Goofy movies. So for them to at least revisit the series is cool.
I think my favorite moment of the trailer was when they cut to Mel Brooks, and he's wearing Spaceballs the sweatshirt.
the whole I've seen people on TikTok like, I have Spaceballs the shirt, Spaceballs the button, here's Spaceballs the tattoo. That's such a cool, funny gag from back in the day that I hope they do well, and that's one I'll actually go to in theaters. So good times. All right, more good times on ahead. And today is Father's Day. So we have a Father's Day edition draft. And one of the things that, fathers and sons do quite often, especially this time of year, they play catch or they have a catch. Honestly, up until Field of Dreams, I never heard it called that. Have you ever heard it called have a catch?
That was the first time I had heard that myself.
So I sent you this video of Bob Costas saying, these are the people I'd like to have a catch with. And I thought, well, I think that's a good a thing to draft as anything. So while I imagine in the real world that we'd spam our draft with family members, that's understood. We're going to say that our dads or kids or even our moms, I mean, right now, can you picture Judy and Miriam playing catch in the backyard?
No. I
want you to stop and just picture that. Judy and Miriam. Yeah, it doesn't look right.
Who would be worse?
I think my mom. She has the hand-eye coordination from playing the piano.
Right. My mom does not.
I don't know. Your mom always felt more athletic than because my mom was just straight up, I'm going to sit at the piano and that's it. I don't know.
Well,
your mom had to run after 3 boys. My mom only had to run after me.
Oh, that's true.
So
I'm going to call it a tie. I'm going to say nothing gets caught.
Is that because of bad throwing, though?
Oh, it's a little bit of each. It's some bad throwing, some bad catching, and some general apathy.
That's one thing we could ask AI, and I have to get the AI set for the Creed thing you sent. I like to build like a Mike Tyson's Punch-Out thing.
Yeah.
So we got to do some work on that. I didn't forget about it, but we kind of forgot about it. That'll be next week. So who are we going to play catch with? Number and color.
I'm going to go 3 red.
3. Hey, the 3 of diamonds. You just got to trust me on that.
Okay.
Put it in here. 3 of diamonds is the Monroe Doctrine of 1823. Articulated in President Monroe's 7th annual message to Congress, December 2, 1823. The doctrine warns European nations that the United States will not tolerate further colonization or puppet monarchs. The United States not tolerating puppet monarchs.
Thank you, 5th President James Monroe.
Thank you, James. So you are going to lead us off. So Tim picks first. I have a good list. I think I have 11. So I have at least 5 if you double up with me.
So I'm going to go with my first pick because I have other guys who I doubt you'll take. With my first pick, I tried to pick people who were baseball adjacent. I'm going to go with the aforementioned Randy Savage,
Wow.
who was a
Okay.
draft pick of the Cincinnati Reds.
So honestly, I thought about Randy Savage, and I don't know why I didn't write him down. Yeah. So where did Savage play? Was he? I want to say he's a third baseman, but
I believe he was a catcher.
Randy Poffo baseball card. Randy Poffo, yeah, he's got the catcher gear on, so
Yeah.
unless he's
The tools of ignorance. Yeah.
dig it. So on his Cincinnati, now he's labeled as an outfielder.
Yeah.
1974 outfield prospect. He's listed at 6'1", 195.
Oh.
He throws lefty. Is there such thing as a left-handed catcher?
Oh, yeah. No, that makes sense. He must have come up as a catcher, and they were like, we're not having a left-handed catcher.
Randy Poffo, Gulf Coast Cardinals catcher. In 72, catcher. But yeah, this one, like the famous one people see, he's labeled as an outfielder. That's something else. No, that's a what do you talk about with Savage when you're playing catch?
Life. You know, the deep questions.
Where does the cream rise, Randy?
Yeah. What do you do when life snaps into you?
That's kind of how I went with mine. I picked people who I thought would actually be able to catch a ball and would be nice enough to not fire it back at me. So Randy Johnson did not make my list. That would scare me. But the first guy I'm going to pick is someone who likes baseball, big baseball fan, and is quite possibly the most entertaining person on the planet. I'm going to say Bill Murray.
Oh, that's a good one.
So, I mean, a famous Cubs guy who I think gets the whole baseball thing. But, I mean, in 5 minutes, my glove is off and I'm on the ground laughing because of something he does or says or facial expression he makes.
Yeah, and you're right. Like among famous movie people, he is an especially knowledgeable sports fan.
Bill Murray and Randy Savage as the top picks in the draft. Could they be any more different? I don't know. They both have interesting hair, though.
Well, I'll tell you, my second one, I'm going with a former player, but maybe more known as just like a baseball related celebrity in his later life. But I think Bob Uecker would be a great person to have a catch with.
So Bob Uecker is on my list, or he was. I don't know if I have them ranked, but Bob Uecker was on the list. So yeah, absolutely. And again, for me, it's the stories, because when you're playing, you're not just playing. I'm not warming up. I'm not coming into the game, right? But let's talk. Let's throw the ball and talk. I could probably listen to him talk for hours. My arm would fall off before I got bored of what he said to me.
I would like to do a deep dive on some Mr. Belvedere trivia, like the kind of stuff you won't find on IMDb.
You're talking about Mr. Belvedere.
And Euchre's going to be like, I'm in the Baseball Hall of Fame. I'll be like, no, but in season 3, episode 6, I do have a question, Bob.
Did they make season 3?
I believe so. It was a staple of the early TGIF lineup.
Probably. I that's a good pick, man. I like that. So now, like I said, I didn't have mine ranked. So I'm going to go with the entertainment value and the stories. I don't know how athletic this guy is, though. I know he's musical, so maybe Derek will come in and we'll have like a triangle catch. I'm going to draft Weird Al.
Okay.
I don't know how athletic he is, but I would just love to talk to him as a human and just hear his thoughts on the world and life in general, like you
Yeah,
saw with Randy Savage.
He was the valedictorian of his high school class. Weird Al was.
So he could talk about almost anything, I bet.
And I believe he went to college for engineering, maybe.
Did he?
Yeah, I think that's true.
Does Weird Al like baseball? Well, he was photographed at a minor league baseball game, so he's been there before.
So he's aware of the game.
He did. He is aware baseball exists, and there's a picture of him on his Instagram. I don't know who this is. He's outside at a statue, and the statue is like this fielder throwing the ball, so his right leg is in the air, and Al has his head under it like he's getting stepped on.
Okay.
So I mean,
so he is aware of the game then.
Maybe he can't throw. We'll throw from 20 feet away and just talk.
So for my number 3, I've got, you knew at some point I had to say Pedro Martinez.
Ooh, so I don't know about that, man. He's got to play nice because I mean, even Pedro even now can probably bring it. You want to catch a 90-mile-an-hour?
I think more than anything, when people talked about Pedro, they talked about how the arm speed never changed from his fastball to his changeup. And I think that would be something to see. Like almost like the TikTok you sent me of A-Rod talking about like tipping pitches.
That was something.
This would be the antithesis to that, where it would be a guy who was hiding his pitches very well.
What he was talking about was when someone throws a changeup, they usually they palm it so you don't see their whole hand. But when they're throwing a fastball, they're putting a lot of the pressure up top. So now, like, you see more of their hand in the split second that's just like, in Mike Tyson's Punch Out, that one little pixel of blip before Tyson punches you, he's seeing readily. Yeah, that kind of was nuts. But the arm action, I've seen overlays of Pedro's fastball and changeup, and it's the same arm action, like you said. Absolutely wild.
And it's unfair that he was throwing one like 96 and 178, and there's no way
the
to
78
tell.
would still hurt my hand because I have soft, delicate, small troll hands, I guess. Being as you went with Pedro with your 3, I will pick my nominal Yankee. I said Derek Jeter, and simply because if you look at their post retirements, A-Rod versus Jeter, Jeter's kind of still a private guy. Jeter, he's like my generation's Joe DiMaggio. There's not a lot of people that know the actual Derek Jeter. It would be kind of cool if like he let his guard down. We're in the backyard just playing catch. And he's like, you know what? Let me tell you about the time Mariah Carey really pissed me off. Oh, okay.
Just the dating stories alone.
Let me tell you why Jessica Alba and I didn't work out.
Yeah.
Okay, Derek.
Yeah. Where did it go wrong for you and Minka Kelly?
In beyond that, like the baseball stories would be cool, and I would go with Jeter.
You're right. The DiMaggio comparison's a good one because even though Jeter has like the endorsements, just like DiMaggio had Mr. Coffee, but you're right. People don't really seemingly know the real Derek Jeter.
I think is what made him successful in New York. He had that one little thing with Steinbrenner about dating or going out in the night, and they made it into a Pepsi commercial or a MasterCard commercial or whatever it was. Yeah, but beyond that, he was kind of quiet, which Aaron Judge is kind of like that now. You don't hear a lot about him, which is a good thing. It also helped Jeter won a bunch of rings early in his career. Judge hasn't, but I'm looking at my top 3 now: Bill Murray, Weird Al, and Derek Jeter. I don't know in what world those 3 go together, but they'd be entertaining for me. Who do you got for 4?
For number 4, I'm going with another former Red Sox, and again, it's because I want to see this this pitch as it's being thrown to me, and it's going to be a lot gentler on my hand if Tim Wakefield's thrown me that knuckleball.
I already had Tim Wake typed in already. There you go. You're going to be bending over a lot after dropping it.
That's fine. I just want to watch that thing dance.
Yeah, we'd almost be funny to have a draft of like major league pitchers that we'd like to take batting practice off of to practice bunting. Because I'm not making contact on anybody, but I still think I can get a bunt down on a 4-seam fastball. Bunting that wild knuckleball.
Even the catcher doesn't know where it's going.
That's why Varitek was one of the better catchers of the 90s, like, because he was actually really good at catching it.
Well, and a lot of times they would bring in Doug Mirabelli to catch Wakefield.
It's a skill, man.
Yeah.
Did he have a bigger glove? Did he cheat?
Mirabelli?
Yeah.
That I don't know.
Did he have the Wakefield glove?
There were some people who. Am I remembering this right? I don't think it was with Wakefield, but there's some people who've caught knuckleballers using a first baseman's glove.
Maybe. I don't know.
Just having to pick it all the time.
That's a good question. We'll get our producer on that, but
if it's not right, it ought to be.
Yeah, it ought to be.
Who's your number 4?
So I'm going back to storytelling, and I started telling Derek about this guy as a storyteller, and we're going to introduce him to the true Hollywood stories of Charlie Murphy.
Oh, that's a good one.
I don't know if I won't even, like, let's be 10, 15 feet away, who just toss and just talk and entertain me, man. And then I'll make you pancakes.
Tell me Rick James stories that couldn't make it to air.
What didn't make what was left on the editing room floor? And here's a guy I'd never heard of until the Chappelle Show, but the way he tells a story in such a charismatic way. Yeah, it'd just be fun. So I'm gonna go Charlie Murphy, number 4.
So I'm gonna stick with a big leaguer, but it's because I have questions for them. And it sounds like I'm playing into Field of Dreams when I say I'd like to have a catch with Shoeless Joe Jackson, but I want to grill him about what really happened with the Black Sox scandal. Did he know what was going on? I'd have so many questions about that.
I got you. No, that's fair.
Who among the 8 men out was actually guilty? Who was guilty by association? I'd want the real, like, look, there are no reporters here. We're just having a catch.
Reporter.
Former reporter.
You're right here. This is the media, man. No, I got you. I mean, you just spill the tea, as the kids say. That's fair. That's a good one. And then you would write a book.
I would want to know how he feels about Ray Liotta playing him in Field of Dreams and not throwing left-handed.
Oh, do you think that bothers him?
It would bother me if I was an elite athlete and someone didn't take the time to at least throw with the right hand, the correct hand.
I mean, how much did we see him throw in the movie? Because I can throw left-handed pretty accurately at about 10 feet. If I'm in left field and I have to throw to second base, I don't know where it's going.
I can throw from like the mound to home.
I'm not sure I can throw a strike.
Yeah, if I'm throwing from the outfield, I'm bouncing it double-digit number of times.
I'm in left field and it's going to bounce 6 times and it's going to first. It's not going home.
Yeah, I'm bouncing it to the cutoff man.
But that's why you do character acting, or you do what's it called when you actually, like, you live the lifestyle for, like, method acting.
Method acting, yeah.
Yeah, you do a method for a while. I mean, I like I said, I've taught myself how to throw lefty. Back when I was coaching football, I would just I would throw it left back to, like, if I'm warming up the quarterback, so as to, okay, it's my way of lobbing it in so that he didn't have to worry about me like peppering him. Not that I have a cannon anyway, but yeah, I'm going to go with an outfielder myself for number 5, and I wasn't worried about you picking him because I think the part of his life that you would appreciate more is his guitar playing. But over the course of his career, he was among my favorite Yankees of the dynasty. I'm going to pick Bernie Williams.
Okay.
And because I think
go that way.
I think Bernie's the whole concept of the core 4. It bothers a lot of fans because Bernie was there first. Bernie played with Mattingly, and that's kind of how he learned how to be a Yankee. And then these 4 kids came up and they got a cool nickname. But Bernie was just as important, if not more important, than a lot of them. So, plus, he played center field, and I played center field, so we had that in common. And then when we were done playing, he could come in the house and play guitar with Derek. I think everybody wins there.
Yeah, and that's funny because of all the Yankees I could have pictured you taking with your 5th pick. I don't know. I would have thought maybe like Mattingly or Rick Cerrone.
Rick Cerrone made the list.
Yeah.
I did for some reason I didn't think of Mattingly. I don't know why. But
I had along the same lines as Shoeless Joe. I had Bonds because I would want to ask Bonds like about his drug regimen.
I think you anger Bonds and he fires one at your hand and he breaks your wrist.
That's probably how that plays out. You're right.
So it's probably good you didn't draft him.
Who else did I have here? Nomar. I had Greg Maddux along the same lines of just wanting to see like.
Maddux would only throw 15 pitches to you because he's got to go home and read a book.
I'm curious, who else did you have on your list?
So aside from Bob Uecker, Rick Cerrone, I looked for just like kind of celebrity people who I would enjoy being around for stories and stuff like that. So I picked Adam Sandler, who I think is a pretty famous baseball fan. Steve Buscemi, who is more of a firefighter than a baseball player, but there's athleticism there. I'd like to talk to him. Mark Cuban, pretty much so I could see if I could bump some money from him. And George Carlin made the list.
That's funny. I'm reading a book about comedians, and I considered Carlin.
So we overlapped a little bit with Uecker, and you thought about Carlin.
Yeah, but, Carlin could give me very little insight into the Belvedere working process.
True. And he could talk about the George Carlin show, though. You remember that? There was a George Carlin show on Fox?
On Fox on Sunday nights, yeah.
So, I mean, he could talk about televisions and networks and stuff like that. So, I don't know. That'd be something worthwhile. But good draft, I think. And we learned a little bit about the Monroe Doctrine. So everybody's a winner here on Soup and Meatballs. Going on. It's
except
our top
puppet
5
regimes.
Top 5 regimes.
You said everyone's a winner, and I said except puppet regimes.
There we go. So maybe in future shows we'll draft our top 5 favorite regimes. But what are we ranking today?
Our favorite baseball logos.
So I mean, you asked, do you want to like look at logos? And I love logos. So when I started looking, there's a website that a guy named Chris Creamer runs, sportslogos.net. I'm like, okay, so let me start looking. And before I knew, I started in baseball. Before I knew it, I had 5. And this is when I wrote to you and I said, you know what, like, can you get 5 baseball? And then we can do basketball next week and then football. Like we could do a thing here, because if I have to pull some of these, I'm going to be upset to the point where, honestly, I have 5 American League. I have, 5 American League, 4 National League, and a special one. So
I wrote down 5 right away, and then I had to jot down 3 honorable mentions just because.
There we go. So we're going to go top 8 here. The heck with what that graphic said. I don't have them in any order. These were just the order in which I kind of looked at them.
Same.
Okay. And I have them with years. So if you're watching and you want to check this out, we don't have the cool capability of like popping these logos up because I don't know who Tim's are and he doesn't know what mine are. So you have to go to Kramer's website to look these up. For me, number 1, and it's not the best of all these logos. It's just the first one. The Los Angeles Angels from 1993 to 1996, where they had an interlocking C and A. And like maybe it's a thing for me with interlocking letters that I think looks cool. So the CA and there's a halo around the A. I just thought that looked kind of neat.
Yeah, like that Tim Salmon era Angels.
And you're going to see a definitive era in my list. Very few 90s, believe it or not. But yeah, this one made the list for me.
Yeah, and I also like the accompanying. There was that time in the 90s where teams would have like the sleeveless shirt with then like the shirt underneath, and the Angels had that with the pinstripes.
That felt softball-y to me, but I get you.
My number 1, and again, it was just the first one that popped in my head, and you know my love of 70s and 80s Montreal Expos.
Yeah,
so I'm thinking of like that script with the ELB and the red, white, and blue.
Still don't know what that is. So,
well, you know, it's Quebec, so it's probably something French.
I'm. What does ELB mean on Expos? Often misinterpreted. A lowercase e, an uppercase M, and a lowercase b are the initials of the team in French. Expos de Montreal Baseball. So the thing that looks like an L is actually an M.
Okay.
But I mean,
well, I like it nonetheless.
I'm just telling you what it means now. So now you know. I'm with you. Good pick.
Je suis un Expos fan.
Number 2 for me is from 1981 to 1986, the Seattle Mariners. The one that has it's a trident over a star. And when I was growing up, I remember thinking it was like a big, like superhero looking guy, and like those were his arms, and he was like really strong. But it's a trident for the Mariner. And the year that they went to like that little bubble M, I was like, what's the bubble M? Go back to the cool guy looking thing.
I feel like the Mariners have had a history of really good logos and uniforms.
The one they have now, like the compass, it's fine. It's okay. It's not the cool trident guy, though.
I like the when they changed it up a little in the 90s.
That was with the M.
Yeah.
The little bubble M.
I like that, but I do like the 80s one as well. Like, and it's interesting you're staying not only in the AL, but in the AL West.
Oh, the AL West, yeah. that wasn't lost upon me. We're going to go to a different division for 3, 4, and 5, though.
So my second one is just like a classic logo. And it's just St. Louis Cardinals, the 2 birds on a bat with the script Cardinals. I think it's just clean. It's just classic. You can look at that logo and you can think, you know, whatever area you grew up, you could see Rogers Hornsby or Albert Pujols. It's just a traditional good look. You know, I also favor logos that have like a solid primary color, like blue or red prominently featured. So give me the.
You like birds too. I mean, judging by your hat, so that there's that. I'm looking at my list here. No birds here, unfortunately. I can't. You're not going to argue, though. I mean, they made. I looked at them. I looked at all of these, but I stared at them for a little bit. But this was like by the time I got to them, I already had 9 down. So I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. My number 3, we're going to go to the AL Central, and this is from 1976 to 1986. The Minnesota Twins, when they have the outline of the state of Minnesota and the 2 guys, the cartoon-looking guys as St. Paul and Minneapolis shaking hands, and the words "Win Twins." I'm like, that's kind of neat. And I remember a lot of these logos were from, I had a bedroom set like that had the sheet and the blanket and all these logos. And I remember seeing these logos here. So part of it's nostalgic for me. But the two guys with the goofy smile and it says Win Twins. I would say that's a cool looking logo that, you know, they've gone to more contemporary or corporate now, which is fine. But as far as like retro stuff, that would be on my list.
Yeah, I found that a lot of 70s and 80s stuff made my list, and I think nostalgia was a big factor. I completely forgot about when I think of the Twins of like growing up, I think of the baseball with the script Twins in it, which might have been the logo after that.
It might have been. I'm not going to look it up now, but yeah, it might have been.
Yeah, no, that's a good one, and it's funny because it's not the first one that would have jumped to mind, but that's what
I got from going.
Feels like some.
I went to that website and I just started clicking on teams. So I looked at everybody. It's like, yeah, I remember that. That's cool.
And it does feel like something from another era. Like it doesn't feel like a logo you would get.
No,
today.
oh no, heavens no.
So my next one, going back to the 80s, is, and I'll call them the Oakland A's, but the one with the green ring and then the pale yellow A inside, okay. where it's like, you know, what you would think of with like Ricky Henderson's first time around in Oakland, or like the Bash Brothers, Dave Stewart era Oakland. And plus, I like the green and yellow color scheme.
Yeah, the green and yellow color scheme reminds me of my Little League days with Bob's Sporting Goods, because it was those exact colors. But the logo that I think of with the Athletics, and I don't know if it's Oakland or if it would have been like Philadelphia, was the elephant. And it was the elephant holding a bat in his trunk.
Yeah, I believe he's balancing on a baseball.
What's an elephant doing there? It's like the Alabama Crimson Tide. What's your mascot? An elephant?
What? Yeah, I forget what the tie was for Charlie Finley. Had something that for what, I don't know if he just liked elephants, but
that works. But no, but the one you're talking about though, did it have text in it?
It just had the A apostrophe S.
I thought it might have said like Oakland Athletics, because it reminded me of my next one was the Detroit Tigers from 1964 to 1994, where they had the blue circle with Detroit Tigers. It seemed like a lot of logos had that, but they had the retro-looking cartoon tiger in the middle. So the Twins had their cartoon guys. The Tigers have an interesting history of logo. If you go back and you look. The tiger before that one, when it was just that face, I like the addition of the circle and the city and nickname in there as well. But that's another cool logo that made the blanket that I would see a bunch. I'm like, oh, that's neat. I think that's Cecil Fielder's team.
And it's funny because that's one of the first logos I think of when I started to like baseball, because the 84 Tigers were so. Like the year they won the World Series, they were so dominant. So I just, for whatever reason, their logo sticks out in my memory from like the early to mid 80s. And that's another one that feels kind of retro with the cartoon tiger. So for my number 4, I'm going to go not with the very first Houston Astros logo, but from the 60s and 70s, they had the one that incorporated the Astrodome in. So it's like the top of the dome is part of the Astros logo.
And is it because it's Houston? Does it have like space to it?
Yeah. It looks like the Astrodome's kind of flying a little bit. So yeah, it works in like 60s NASA, which I'm a nerd for, with, you know, the Astrodome, baseball, and it's, you know, big and orange and very much of its time. I just think it's very eye-catching and cool.
I had a cheat. I actually did look this one up on the Creamer website. From 77 to 93, the text is one way. From 65 to 76, the text is like super retro. but they still have got the Astrodome with that weird molecule thing going. If you see the difference, and if I'm looking at it right now, the difference between that orange Astros to what they went to with the gold, yellow, beige-ish thing, wow, it's like the 90s hit a lot of these logos, and they hit them hard. Like
a downgrade.
Yeah. Which is why, like, we're talking how, like, cool retro it is. It's because they are. I mean, the 80s are, I know it feels 20 years ago, but it's a little more than that. That's a cool. I didn't give Houston enough look when I was looking at these, because that might have made the list.
And I almost, if I hadn't gone with that, I was going to go with when Houston was the Colt 45s, and it was just a pistol firing, which is very much of a different.
Very much so. Very much so. So my number 5 is it's actually a 2-for-1, and we're staying in the AL Central. If you go from 1987 till today, 2 logos that the Chicago White Sox have that I like. I like the script one that they have now, but the older one with like the silhouette of the batter, and it's just a Chicago.
Oh, almost like a stick figure.
Yeah. And for some reason, whenever I see that logo, I think of Ron Kittle and his glasses.
I think of Harold Baines.
That works. So the old 70s thing. So both of those logos made my list. And it's kind of funny that for the White Sox haven't changed their logo in a long time. Maybe they should start looking into doing something to kick the offense into gear. But it's interesting to have that kind of longevity, I think.
And it's funny because I remember in the 90s when they went to the pinstripes and they went to like the diagonal socks. Like they had like the hottest hat in baseball.
They looked cool. They looked cool. And then they signed Bo Jackson, so they became cool.
Yeah. My number 5 is definitely very retro. It's going to be like 70s until the mid 80s. The San Diego Padres had their cartoon like monk who was like batting and like kind of spinning around, and it was like brown and mustard.
Terrible
yellow.
Colors. Absolutely terrible colors.
And I'll tell it's because I've got my Tony Gwynn shirt on.
Yeah, there it is.
So it's kind of those colors. Yeah.
No, I'm looking at it right now. I don't know how I missed this. I didn't spend a lot of time in the National League, I'll be honest. Yeah, that guy's cool, man. 69 to 84.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I had a lot of National League in mind because I watched a lot of National League baseball in the 80s just because WWOR showed a lot of Mets. The Yankees were on PIX, but I just watched a lot of Mets baseball back then.
If you go to this and you look at the timeline of these logos, it's very strange seeing, this is what was big in the 70s and 80s, and then what it went to the 90s. The 2000s is really where San Diego. I don't know what they did in 2004. What is that home plate looking thing with the wave or?
Yeah, a lot of the ones of the 90s and 2000s feel kind of homogenized, where they all went to like some sort of like navy blue, like it's all like one of 5 different templates for the logos.
It's the movie Bring It On, where the baseball team, they all call the same graphic designer who gives them spirit fingers. They all get the same thing.
Yeah. And it feels like every uniform decided to go to pinstripes between like 1993 and like 2000.
It makes you look slimmer. So
yeah.
The next one, so my number 6, I'm just going here. 1978 to 1993. This is one of the most famous logos that you look at when they talk about hidden meanings, with an M and a B making a glove for the Milwaukee Brewers.
The Brewers are on mine too.
Because that's just cool.
Yeah,
and it's awesome graphic design. So
yeah,
that was kind of a no-brainer. And they kind of went back to it now. Like if you look at their logo currently, it's that same kind of glove in a circle that says Milwaukee Brewers. But again, it's dark blue. in set from 78 to 93, it was more of a. It wasn't a dark blue, but it wasn't a sky blue. It was a lighter blue, though, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you're right. Like hiding the M and the B in the glove
Neat.
really is a great graphic design.
And what do they do in the 90s? Oh my god! Like if you look at what they went to after that in 94.
Yeah, it just says Brewers over like a.
No, there was one before. It was like an interlocking MB, and here's me, the guy who loves interlocking letters. This it looks stupid. It looks like what you'd see on a pack of playing cards that don't tell you anything cool about American history. Garbage, Milwaukee. Stan Ross deserved better. Just saying.
Since we both picked Milwaukee, I'll say that I've always been a fan of 70s and 80s Phillies, like with the burgundy P with the baseball in the hole in the cap.
That made my list. I said the script P that flows into the baseball seams in the middle. Looks cool.
Yeah. And there's especially one logo that they did right around the bicentennial where it's like the P looking over like Liberty Hall.
Okay, I remember when I looked at, I'm like, this is going to make the list. So I didn't really look at the Phillies too long. That might have been like a special one. The bicentennial, the 76 one, they have like these two cartoon looking people. Again, they look like playing cards. It looks like the king and the queen. But yeah, the Phillies made my list. Do you have anybody else? Because I have three more.
Yeah, the other one that I like is the classic Royals one with the crown.
Yeah, Royals didn't make my list. But is the crown kind of hidden? Because it's not a bad one. It's just not one that gets me.
Yeah,
gets me super excited.
Like I'm thinking of like 85, like George Brett.
Again, you know what?
Like right around the time.
If you go and you look at the Kansas City Royals logo from 1969 till today, it's basically the same thing. An elongated home plate with a crown on top of it. And there's something to be said for that kind of consistency. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is just that I like the uniforms, like the 80s uniform. Well, really, it's what they've been wearing forever. Like the powder blue ways.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And then the white and blue.
Dude, if you scroll down, there's like all kind of uniform history. This website's awesome. It really is. I could spend hours here.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm gonna have to go back and spend some more time there.
So the three that I have three more. One from 67 to 86, the Pittsburgh Pirates with the yellow rectangle, and the guy with the pirate hat, and he's got this look on his face, like he's really scary. Like we'll go with him.
Who do you think wins in a fight? That pirate guy or the 70s Buccaneer? Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
No, I got you. I'm only seeing the guy's head, but he's got scruff. And I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Pirate.
The Buccaneer has a knife in his mouth, though.
Oh, does he? I don't care.
Doesn't he?
He might. I don't know. I got to look him up. And it's not like I don't have the world of information at my fingertips here. T for Tampa. And yeah, he does in fact have a knife in his hand, but he looks like Prince. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but like, he's going to beat me in basketball and feed me pancakes. This guy is not mad at all. And I'll tell you what, when we're done, you can get on your feet, look at them side by side, and you tell me who's tougher. We'll put a poll up. See if anybody who could win in a fight, this Pittsburgh Pirate or this Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I like that.
The Pirate one is cool, and then it goes back to the aforementioned triple-decker Pirate.
Oh, those.
That they were wearing.
In terms of uniforms, yeah. So there was that guy. The last one from the major leagues is from 53 to 92, the Cincinnati Reds, where they had some form of that Mr. Red character. Mr. And he actually has a Wikipedia page. If you go to the Wikipedia page for Mr. Red, they have a shot of the mascot, the real life mascot. Oh my God, is that creepy? He looks like Slender Man.
And speaking about those '90s, I thought the Reds did that really well, where they had the sleeveless vest with the shirts underneath.
They now that I think about it, they're I think were the more famous ones than Anaheim was. Griffey, I think Griffey being there helped.
Yeah, like when Ron Gant got there and he was showing off those giant guns.
And I had one more, and I didn't describe it well enough, so I'm gonna look it up again so I can do it a little bit of justice. Because when I texted you the website, I'm like, well, this is kind of cool. The Cuban Stars West of the Negro Leagues from 22 to 30. It's got some interlocking letter connection to it, but it looks very similar to what the Houston Astro thing was with the molecular. So look up Cuban Stars West. It looked cool to me. There's just an S and a C there, or CS for Cuban Stars.
I'll throw one more out there, just because I think it's another one that's a classic. Is the Mets with the bridge and the skyline.
I have this written down. I appreciate the consistency the Mets have with theirs, basically the same logo since 1962. So I mean, it's totally fair with the landmarks that are in there.
And against the baseball,
I think it's neat. If I'm on the algorithm on TikTok gives me a lot of logo updates. There's a couple of graphic designers that are like, I'm going to redo the Bears logo, and they do something and they pick something out of the city and they incorporate it. I think that's neat. So like what the Mets have with the bridge, kind of that same vein, that works.
Yeah.
And that's just baseball. I came up with 10. So like looking into and neither one of us, we shot away from our teams because obviously I think the Yankee logo is the coolest. It was designed by Tiffany and Company. Why not? But like going forward, it's a cool thing to look back at, stuff like that. So good times, man. Good work.
Yeah.
Don't know what we have next, but it's probably fun. Mr. Smarty Pants.
Oh, I still need to redeem myself from 2 weeks
I have
ago.
So I've been out and about. Pittsburgh, Bloomsburg, Hazleton, Chambersburg. Like I've been all over this state. So I haven't had a ton of time to do research. So these are like stolen questions. I actually knew I knew the answer to the question. So if you don't, you should really feel bad about yourself. And I've seen this all over TikTok, and it's NBA related. So are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm hydrated and I'm ready.
Which two NBA teams, their names are not designated by either a state or a city? So when you say their name, it's not a state, it's not a city.
Well, Golden State. Okay, let's see. So it's not a state, it's not a city.
This one took me a second too, but I got it. They always show you these videos on TikTok, and they don't give you the answer. I'm like, dude, I know this is right.
Mississippi. Oh man, it's not a state and it's not a city.
State, not a city.
They're not going to do something like with Washington, where it's like it's the District of Columbia, so it's not like
Washington is in fact a state and a city. So no, it's not Washington.
Okay, but I mean, Washington D.C. is not in Washington State, and I didn't know if they were going to say that. Oh, it's a district. Okay.
Well, that's not the one that I'm using, and I've seen a lot. I've seen my answer in the comments more often than not, so I'm saying I'm right.
Okay.
I'd give you partial credit.
All right, let me go. Vamp for time while I go back over the states again.
Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio. I lose it after a while.
Oh,
there you
Brooklyn.
go, Brooklyn. Brooklyn is not, in fact, a
it's
city.
a
Brooklyn is a borough, and that caused all kinds of arguments. But there you go. That reminded me of the trip that we took to North Carolina when my son was like 5, and he wanted to listen to the CD about the states for 8 hours. Oh, it was brutal. All right, so 1 for 1. List time. Now, here's the thing: you have to give me the list in order. You can't go mix and matching or nothing. So, football related, and I'm going to go to your favorite team, your hat there, the Philadelphia Eagles. I want you to list the top 6 quarterbacks in order of their most wins in Eagles history. McNabb is, in fact, number 1.
Jaworski
is on the list.
But he's not 2.
Cunningham is number 2.
Was Jaworski's
3? Yeah, Cunningham was credited with 61, Jaworski with 60.
Okay. Hurts
is, in fact, number 4, 46.
What about Norm Van Brocklin?
Norm Van Brocklin didn't make the list.
He wasn't there long enough.
Like that. Okay. This isn't my list. I found this somewhere else. So Jaworski might have 63 wins for all I know. This is from my producer. Oh. Yeah. We might have a guest. I don't know. We'll find out.
Oh.
Live and in person. It'll be interesting. Back to you.
You're
looking for number.
What about
you're looking
Vic?
For 5 and 6.
What about Michael Vick?
Michael Vick not on the list.
Wentz wasn't there long enough. But I don't know who are the last
Carson
2.
Wentz was credited with 35 wins. And then from 1964 to 1970, does that help you?
Sonny Jurgens?
Sonny Jurgens? Norm Snead.
Oh. Well, sorry, Norm Snead. I let you down.
Well, I mean, I think this is retribution. That works.
I'll take it.
You get the guy back up here again. There's Mr. Smarty Pants.
Wentz surprises me, but I mean, obviously he had the MVP season or MVP caliber season, before he got hurt against the Rams, and he had, they went to the playoffs. Other than that, so I guess that makes sense.
So I saw a picture. It was on Instagram or wherever I was. Oh, look at this! And sometimes I'll save a picture and see what you know. The other thing that I often see online that we've done a little bit, but we're going to do it a little differently. Here's the logo that I told you I needed the time to finish. We're going to build our squad here, but you're going to build your squad. Okay. This is all you because I know all the categories and you don't. So this is you just off the cuff. I'm going to give you $15. You have $15 to spend. Okay. There are 4 things to buy. You are going to build your superhero movie. Okay?
Okay.
So building your superhero movie, now you need to see the screen for this. Or at least it'll help you. So round 1, you're going to buy your hero actor. So who's playing the hero? For $1, you can get Macaulay Culkin. For $2, Adam Sandler. $3, Christian Bale. $4, Wesley Snipes. And $5, Hugh Jackman.
Oh, Christian Bale's a great value for $3.
Christian Bale for $3. I don't disagree. I think that's good. Okay. Next up, what is his power? So the hero's power For $1, he's a black belt in karate. For $2, he's a sharpshooter, not like the Bret Hart finishing move. He's good with a rifle. $3, I don't know what living tattoos means, but I assume they're kind of like tattoos that come off and like attack people. $4, he's a shapeshifter. Or for $5, he has super strength and super speed.
I'm spending $5 here because super strength and speed is such a classic.
So strength, speed. Okay, so you're 8 in. You have 7 to spend. You're doing great here. Number 3, who is the villain? So for $1, you get Jerry Seinfeld. For $2, you get Madonna. $3, our local legend Jack Palance. $4, Christopher Walken. For $5, Samuel L. Jackson.
I think Christopher Walken makes a great, interesting villain for $4.
Christopher Walken is in. So you have spent $12. You have $3 left. So the villain power, you can't get flight or animal control. You can't get size manipulation. But for $3, you can get invisibility. For $2, Christopher Walken is an expert swordsman. Or for $1, he can generate fog.
As if it wouldn't be scary as hell to have an invisible Christopher Walken, I'll take invisibility.
There you go.
Thank you.
So you have Christian Bale versus Christopher Walken. So you have 2 Chris's. Could you do something? Could you play off the name thing there? What's the title of this movie? I don't know.
I'd have to brainstorm.
Yeah,
but I do like how the powers are a good complement. Like the invisibility could counteract the strength and
absolutely.
speed.
Oh yeah,
because you can't see the villain coming.
And it doesn't matter how strong you are if you don't see what's hitting you. I like that. And have you seen Hollow Man?
With Kevin Bacon?
So I mean, that's the. I haven't seen the Invisible Man from the 50s or 60s or whenever that was, but Hollow Man would have been my experience with invisibility from a villain, and how can they? That's a scary thought.
Yeah, it's a good bad guy power. So I'm very happy with my choice.
I like where you went with. So like the way they do this, like you don't see rounds 3 and 4. So now that you know everything, if we went in reverse, so like if we go in reverse here, because why not? If you knew the villain, come on now, it's hard to do. If you had to respend the money, would you? Could you go villain first?
I think I still would have gone Walken as my villain.
You'd go Walken, and so you spent 3. Would you change invisibility at all? Could you imagine Walken like manipulating the birds while he flies? That'd be so weird.
But I think I think I did. I like my path. I like the Bale super strength, Walken invisible.
I think so. I didn't do this. I think I might have picked Wesley Snipes for 4. And I think I'd go with like the blade concepts, like the living tattoos is like cartoony. So I'd go Wesley Snipes with living tattoos. I'm in 7, and I liked Christopher Walken too. But I mean, I'll to be different. I'll take Samuel L. Jackson as an expert swordsman, which I mean, I guess goes to like it'd be like a Blade thing. This is like Blade 4. Samuel L. Jackson is a makeshift vampire that Blade has to kill. That's what I've just done.
I've watched that movie.
Yeah, with an $80 Blade popcorn holder.
And I'd be sure to sit in front of the shortest guy in the theater.
For somebody like you, it doesn't matter. I mean, we've had this talk. We look about the same size in the screen. We are not. That's not.
I'm gonna ruin someone's day. I'm gonna have the Galactus helmet on, and
I don't have any cool.
Sorry about your luck.
I don't have any cool props to show off, but It's a good show today. It's a weird kind of late show because I had a Father's Day lunch with my dad up in Hershey, and traffic on the way back was kind of goofy. But I had a good day, and hope all the dads had a good day.
And now you're on to the second leg of your Father's Day.
Like Thanksgiving, yeah. So I found out dinner is actually at 7 now. So
okay.
We shout out to Finici's up in Hershey. We ate at Finici's, and I got a meatball sub because obviously. Derek cut a ribeye. He wanted a baked potato at 11:30. The lady's like, "We don't have baked potatoes finished yet." So, but he got a big steak. My dad got a pasta dinner, and I doubt they're gonna eat much for dinner. But I try to limit the intake. I could only eat half the hoagie. I did eat all my fries, and I got a dessert there. They have they used to have this thing called stracciatella, which is just amazing ice cream with like chocolate sprinkles or chocolate shavings on it. But I get limoncello now, which is that's a nice palate cleanser, and it makes you feel better about yourself on the drive home, which is just it's a long drive, but you meet halfway, which is kind of cool. Roseanne came over, Ron came over. It was a good time. So my dad gave me a shirt. Well, first of all, this might be one of my favorite shirts ever. Like my kids got this for me for Father's Day like a long time ago, and since Derek was really big into planets, like they made a planet shirt. But my dad got me a shirt that has my name. Max Gemelli is the most interesting man in the world. And my first thought was, and I hate that this was my first thought. Like, I want to make that shirt again, but I want to donate it to the Salvation Army. Because somewhere there's a high school kid that wants a Russ or a Stymie shirt from Service Electric Cablevision. Like,
I was going to ask if you remembered the names on the Service Electric.
Come on, I'll be 107. And I had to be Russ. I couldn't be Stymie.
Do you think Stymie was the guy's name or a nickname around the office?
It has to be a nickname.
Well, Stymie, if you're out there watching and you worked for Service Electric between the years 1988 and 2000, I was going to say give us a call, but
Dirt, bro.
Yeah, cool name.
Good stuff. But that's one of the cool things that my dad, I don't know where he found it, but good going there. So, all right, man. Fortunately, I mean, I only had half a cup of this. I don't have to run over to the bathroom. So, if you do, then
yeah, I'm gonna walk briskly. I've had a decent amount of water.
Well, I mean, until next time, maybe we'll have an NBA champion by then. Maybe we won't.